What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to another episode of Trail Talk. Today we're finally going to tell you between an ATV, a side-by-side, and a 4Runner, which one you should buy. Let's go. Yes! Okay, so we're back for another episode of Trail Talk, but the last episode of the challenge series. We've had an ATV versus a side-by-side versus a larger off-road vehicle. This is a 4Runner, obviously, heavily modified. This represents, it could be a Jeep, it could be a Land Rover, it could be a something, you know? ATV side-by-side big. The whole series so far has been a lot of performance challenges. Would you agree, Eric?
Yeah, for sure.
And the 4Runner was not necessarily designed for performance, off-road performance.
Right.
Like these two vehicles, which were engineered and sold from the factory to go crush the trails.
Yes.
And do whatever off-road vehicles do. Jeep Wranglers, Jeep whatevers, Nissan Xteras, 4Runners, by most people are driven on the road. By most people are not like, you don't put in another however much money you spent on the actual vehicle to do more to it. They tend to be driven on the road, and I'm gonna use the term, a lot of them are mall crawlers.
Yep.
Not a lot of people are doing this or, you know, that with their Jeep sort of thing.
Right.
But the people that do are doing it for a reason, and it's not necessarily crazy performance. So, in this episode, we're going to cover the 4 C's, Eric.
Okay.
And they aren't anything like real, they just happen to all fall under the C's.
You got lucky then, I guess.
We are going to cover cargo,
Yeah.
cost,
Okay.
they all cost money,
They do.
camping, and comfort.
Comfort. Got it.
Cargo, cost, camping, comfort, those are probably on the screen. We're gonna talk about them. Okay, first up, Eric.
Yeah.
Sportsman 570 Ultimate Trail Edition.
So good.
The vehicle that won, by and large, I would say, the performance challenges is the side-by-side.
Yep.
I mean, when we were here riding before these last episodes and we were just trail riding here, it just ate all day. In all of these challenges, it's been cleaning up. I mean, this has been the easy button. The ATV has largely been the second placed vehicle in performance. And again, both of these built to off-road. And then the 4Runner has been in third place, typically the slowest to do something or takes the longest. Mainly because I gotta drive this thing home, Eric.
You do. Yeah.
We've done this all in one day. I gotta go home this weekend. Or this is really gonna be my home. So you just can't do things with it the same way, you know?
Yeah.
And again, it was built to go on-road, and then I changed it to go more off-road.
Sure.
So let us now get into the 4 C's, and then I'm gonna tell you at the very end what I think you should buy. So first C, Eric,
Yes.
is comfort.
Okay.
And let's start with the 4Runner. Because there are not just performance things that matter in like what you're gonna pick, right?
Okay.
One of the things you do want all day is to be comfortable. What's cool about a 4Runner or a Jeep or a whatever is it has a roof, it has total enclosure. The windshield closes you in, obviously a window. The whole rear is enclosed. On a Jeep, same thing. If you come back here, Eric,
Yeah.
what do we have? Dust.
Dusty. But
All of this dust isn't inside the vehicle.
Right.
It's outside of the vehicle. There's stuff in here I don't want. It's, you know, it's a creature comfort to not have to be dusty myself or get my stuff dusty.
For sure.
I totally could enclose this, by the way. Side-by-sides can be enclosed. This one just currently isn't. But that is a very cool comfort that comes with this. Let's jump inside now. Also in here, I have comfortable seats, right? And we'll get to this isn't the most comfortable, but well, you know, I don't know, these are pretty comfortable. You know, steering wheel, I have AC, I have heat if I want it, I have all these settings for different things, right? I have a sunroof, you know, whatever's a comfort to you. There's certainly things in here that are very comfortable. And I'm not gonna lie, all day long, like if you wanted to go super slow and you didn't need all this capability, like it is super nice to have AC on and the wheels air down a little, takes kind of the chatter out of the bumps, and you can just bop around. Like there is definitely a comfort level to this vehicle that is awesome, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it seems great.
So that's the 4Runner, comfort. Over here, you also have, if you want to look in this window, you can enclose this vehicle too. Generals are known for having very comfy seats. A lot of side-by-sides, they're still really comfy. I mean, you could have bucket seats that are less comfortable, but I've still got a roof, I've got a windshield, I've got mirrors. You know, these days, if you have Ride Command, I have all of the infotainment, I can hook my phone up, there's all this nice stuff that I can still put into a side-by-side, right?
For sure.
I got room again too for bringing some things with me, but we'll come back to the cargo. So I'd probably say, I mean, if ultimate senior citizen comfort, just kidding, is your biggest thing, probably the 4Runner or like a Jeep will give you the most absolute lock out the elements comfort. But where side-by-sides are getting to, the comfort in these is becoming also quite nice. An ATV, we don't have a lot going on. Probably the least level of comfort, I would say. But again, this is a active rider experience. This is a very active riding style. You're with the handlebars, you're moving around, right? You might be doing different things. You certainly can get okay, so heated seats in a 4Runner, pretty nice to have. But guess what? You can get heated thumb warmers and handlebar grips in an ATV. You could add a windshield. Like there are definitely some comfort related things that you can do. And honestly, sitting on an ATV, like comfortable for me. I mean,
it's not bad.
Put a little backpack back here. You come to a stop on the trail, get that nice recline. There are very comfortable ways that you can be out on the trail with an ATV. There's no right answer here is the point. The point is, what kind of adventure do you want to go on? Do you want to go trail ride, you know, have the active rider experience? Well, how about this vehicle?
Looks good to me.
If you want to have the most performance and capability and do tons of different things, this is probably going to just excel at everything, in all honesty.
And you can haul more people.
Haul more people, haul more gear. We'll get to the cargo stuff. It's not gonna have every single comfort that this has, but there's also cost changes, Eric.
For sure.
So we'll come back to that. But there is a spectrum of comfort, and there are also just simply different preferences in comfort. Notice how he didn't actually give an answer.
It's like a politician.
Don't do that. Don't turn on me. I need you.
I'm here.
The point is more so there's pros and cons and there's no one right answer for everyone, but it depends on what you want to do. Okay, next thing that I would like to cover is cost. Cost. I'm gonna just go through all of them first because I'll forget them if I don't. And we're gonna put them on screen. A 4Runner SR5 starts at about $37,000. I'm quoting MSRP, so I mean street prices.
Okay.
It's wild out there. 37,000 up to 50 grand for a TRD Pro. My vehicle, I think, was about $42,000. Jeeps, I think you can get a Sport MSRP for like 28 grand. The Rubicons go up to like 42. A whole mix of ranges there, and let me come back to that. Generals are about $16,000 up to like $28,000. And of course, you can get razors and other very high performance machines for up towards like $30,000+ in that low 30s range. ATVs you can get for about 6.5 grand on the low side, up to like actually 15 plus for like a crazy sport quad, Eric.
Got it.
So very oddly, we literally didn't plan this and we also just figured this out. When you get to the top tier of this vehicle, 15-ish,
Yeah.
you are actually now flirting with the lowest tier of a general or side-by-side.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
This then goes up to about 28,000, which brings you to the lowest tier of like a Jeep.
Sure.
And then if you spend a little more, you can get a $42,000 Rubicon. Of course, you can add a ton of other stuff and make it way more expensive. I know, I'm talking kind of like base levels. A base 4Runner is 37,000 up to like 50 for a Pro. Of course, there's like Land Rovers and stuff that get super expensive. I know you can buy used on all this stuff, but you can see a spectrum. Most expensive, middle expensive, least expensive. There is one other cost we have not talked about though, Eric.
What's that?
Both of these vehicles, like you said, are quite stock,
Right.
you know?
Yep.
I have no idea, and I probably should because I work at Polaris, what this costs, but it's like in the 200s of bucks.
Yeah.
I'm gonna guess for the steel thing, the rear rack. This thing we've added, this had a ton of stuff on it. So this was on the higher side for a general, 28-ish. We added some pod lights because we wanted some light. We've talked about the mods in the past. We added a windshield. We are still going to add a rear panel. We've added some rock sliders, dome lights, some random stuff. I don't know, call that another 1,000 something, right?
Yeah.
Not exactly 100% on the pricing there. It might be a little more, 1,500, but 1,500. Even if it was 2,000, let's just say. So now you're at like 30 all in. The 4Runner,
Here we go.
42 grand, I believe is what I paid. I lost track of, and I'm talking MSRP here, if you'll recall. So I lost track of where things got to.
Sure.
But I know it went over the price of the vehicle, extra.
Sure.
So over another 42. I mean, I'm gonna name some random, like all of my shocks are like 5 grand,
Sure.
the Fox shocks. The tires, 5 of them, you're coming in at like 15-ish hundred. And I know you can buy used, okay, whatever. The Walker Evans wheels, there's more. It's like 800 bucks for sliders. It's like, you know, 800 bucks for the skids on the bottom. It's like $1,000 for the headlights or more. And then it's like 800 for the tail lights. And the bumper was like 800 bucks. I know, because I bought all this stuff.
Yeah. Dang.
The pod lights, like the intake and the exhaust and the radiator. And you don't have to do all this stuff, but like, this is just how things got. The roof rack, the ladder, probably the most expensive ladder money can buy. the whole Ultra swing from rigged, I think was 1,400-ish. Not 100% on all this stuff, but there's for sure, and I did a lot of the labor. I didn't do certain labor, but like, oh, and then all the suspension components, the springs, the arms, the drop links, all that stuff, the diff drop up front, Eric.
Yeah.
All of that was like at least another 42.
Okay.
So now we're in the like 80, 90 plus range.
Sure.
And could I have not done that and taken my stock 4Runner out and had a ton of fun? Absolutely. And my dad has a 4th gen 4Runner, or he had it, and he off-roaded his more than I did mine, because he had more time in his schedule. He took it all over the place. Black Hills, Colorado, he had so much fun in that thing, and total blast. And I think he did like a skid on it and like different tires.
Sure.
I did this stuff for a ton of different performance and for some camping stuff, which we'll talk about, but you can put a lot into these vehicles. I know a ton of Jeep guys too who have spent thousands and thousands more, right? The cost of these vehicles is definitely something to consider. You do with this vehicle get to drive it every day. It's a daily driver, that is worth something. So there's cost that goes into that. But I've also done a lot of maintenance on this vehicle. And when I wheel it sometimes, you end up having to fix things. stuff can cost something. You can also have to fix things on these, but by and large, for something that you can straight up take off-road and have perform at the absolute best, these can basically remain stock.
Yeah, I mean, we've mobbed in this thing and it's stock other than a couple bolt-on accessories.
Yeah, which not needed.
Like suspension and tires and wheels, that's how it came, right?
Yes, absolutely yes. So, we said a lot of numbers. I told you my deepest, darkest secrets about the 4RUNNER expense. Again, we're not going to say you should buy this, you should buy that, but there are some ranges associated with these vehicles. There's a reason we sell like more ATVs. I can't exactly remember, but like so many people buy ATVs because it's the easiest thing to get into off-roading. And you can have a total blast in the active rider style. Handlebars, having a good time. Guess what? It has an engine.
Yeah.
It's a power sports vehicle.
They're so fun.
We've talked to, I forget the 75 horsepower or something, I forget exactly, but like, imagine 75 horses dragging you across a field. Like, that's fast. So, cost. There's different ranges, lower, medium, higher, and there is certainly modifications you can do to all of them. So, based on those pros and cons, definitely take those into consideration and start to hone in on based on your budget and what you want to do with your budget. Buy something that fits into that. All right, we still got 2 more C's, Eric.
Let's hear them.
Next thing, cargo. So this is obviously a fantastic place to put cargo. Sportsmans are really cool because out of all the ATVs in the industry, they have the most cargo and storage capabilities of any machine, which that's super cool. So there's the rear rack, you can strap stuff down. On older Sportsmans, there is also the compartment right here. Different ATVs have different things. You also have the entire top rack where you can put different stuff, right? And then the hinge under toolbox cargo area, whatever you want to call it, right? Certainly, if you're used to, you know, your car or if you're looking at that side of the spectrum, or if you're looking at this middle part of the spectrum, not as much capability for cargo. But you are probably doing something a little bit different if you're looking at this, fit it into a small spot, have the active style. There's certainly still options, but there's a spectrum here too, Eric. Here's where it kicks up a little bit more. There's certainly solutions that you can get for the roof on different side-by-sides, because this isn't just the general, this is side-by-sides in general.
Okay.
Side-by-sides in general.
Speaking
broadly. There is dash stuff, like a lot more, right, familiar things, you know, all over the place. Console, like you start to have a lot of rear console. The entire dump box, this whole thing dumps obviously, which is super nice for like utility stuff. Still has the back tailgate. There's a lot more bags and coolers and spare tires. You can carry a lot of stuff with you. You could ditch these seats and put some stuff in the back for rear storage in the same way that you could ditch seats and create like a sleeping platform, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
And then obviously on this side, you have all the seating areas, the same consoles and dash and blah, 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 boring. You've got the roof rack, which is very cool. You know, I've taken my fiance and gone on overland trips and gone rooftop tent camping.
Fun.
Super fun.
Yeah.
Again, I want.
Yeah. You can imagine.
Imagine. That would be so cool. Roof rack up top, probably also not approved by Toyota, so there you go. Also in the back, you just have a lot more space. So, random cooler thing, traction boards, air compressor chairs, my whole life toolbox, recovery strap bag.
I remember that thing.
Remember this guy?
So cool, yeah.
Fire extinguishers, you know, random stuff, medical. There's a lot more space, of course. There's more liter volume here for different things that you can put. All this stuff too, you can attach more accessories. So there's like lock and ride stuff where you can put We actually have the rear rack for this, Eric.
Oh yeah?
I haven't put it on yet.
Okay.
But we could show that in the video. There's a whole rear rack that goes on here that adds storage capability. Obviously, some of this stuff, don't want to close this guy in. Some of this stuff, like this whole thing, the rigged Ultra swing,
Yeah.
this didn't come on the 4Runner.
Where did the tire go then?
Under the back.
Oh, okay.
It goes back down under there. Sure. This gave me I bought this, gave me the ability to carry more cargo in a certain way. There's a panel here. So again, all this stuff is modifiable, which isn't a word. But cargo is definitely a consideration. Once again, we're not saying there's a right answer, but there is a spectrum from being able to carry a little bit more to being able to carry still quite a lot, and all the way over to a more Spartan setup, Eric.
Yeah.
But also, consider this, if you're bopping around the property and you just need to bring some tools out and go hit up a job site or go to a tree stand or whatever,
perfect.
You may not need a whole lot of stuff either.
Right.
Last category is camping, Eric.
All right.
We've already talked kind of about some of this stuff with cargo. Let's actually start over here, because we mentioned rooftop tent, right?
Yeah, you have one of those?
Very camping oriented, yes. Yeah. I've tried a few different tents. Super fun. Treehouse is like how I like to think of it. It's literally like you're in a treehouse. Very cool. Maybe we'll show some of that in the future. You can put like a whole fridge in here, like an ARB fridge or a Dometic. You can bring a ton of stuff with you, whatever. Very cool to camp out of here as a home base. Still though, with the cargo capacity you have like in a side-by-side, and very specifically a General, which is really nice cargo, you can have quite the luxurious camping setup and get to very cool places because of the capability, Eric.
Yeah.
And then, you know, set up a very remote campsite, which can be super cool. So again, there's some differences in what's possible. Bring a ground tent, figure out a cool thing, who knows? There's different things you can do. And then of course, by the time you come over here with a little bit less cargo, you're probably bringing some packs, some bags, but guess what? You can go camping with a backpack and go backpacking camping.
Right.
Any of these vehicles gives you way more like range and capability to go to somewhere new. Certainly some of these can go a little bit more remote than others, but they're all gonna cover a lot of ground. So, at the very end here, we've talked about the 4 C's. There is no necessarily right answer to what you should buy. And I'm sorry we clickbaited the title. It was Eric's idea.
Hey.
Might have been my idea. But if you look at the last 3 videos, all the crazy stuff we did, and if you look at the weirdly 4 C's that we came up with, there is a lot of different considerations for things that you can get. You can go, you know, certainly people buy bigger vehicles and they drive them. You can certainly do a side-by-side ATV. We're not telling you what to get. All these machines as they sit here, are they so sick?
They are.
They're really fun. They're really cool. My preference, because I'm not telling you a right answer, what I have decided for me is I used to wheel a lot in my 4Runner, and I've done some super fun stuff with it. I've shown Eric some videos. I almost sunk it at one point. Maybe we'll share that eventually in Minnesota. I've done tons of cool stuff with it, camped with it. I've also done so many fun things in a side-by-side, and I've also done a ton of fun stuff in an ATV. And the more that I've gotten to work with those things, and this is my for Evan solution, not my solution to you, is I've really ended up like viewing my 4Runner as a really good hauling vehicle, or a great vehicle if I want to go camping and it doesn't involve as much off-road stuff. And maybe we want to bring a little more like Taj Mahal setup, like get all the luxuries you gotta have.
A little
glamping? I don't really like that word, but maybe. But maybe. But if you want to go more remote and still have a really cool camping setup, this has become the vehicle that I really love doing adventures in. And we'd love to show some more adventure style stuff on the channel, so let us know if you're interested in that. Or like, I want to pull this guy with the 4Runner, leave this still somewhere cool, and then go even further remote with this.
Yeah.
Or just go trail ride, you know?
It's so capable.
I mean, here's kind of an interesting test. Which vehicle's the dirtiest?
Yeah. Which one gets used the most?
That thing's just, it's getting used all the time. And ATVs, like, there are people who are ride or die ATV to the end. I love every moment that I get to drive an ATV, and I love the active rider style. I just tend to gravitate more personally towards a side-by-side. So that is my option for if I'm going off-road or on a cool adventure that requires capability, I'm picking that thing, and I'm probably hauling it with that, and it's gonna be a fun day. But if I can get on ATV, it's definitely still a fun day. We are currently not in the office, Eric.
We aren't. We're having a blast.
What would you pick?
I'm with you.
You have a truck.
I have a truck, and I would never, my truck hauls my family, so I wouldn't make it into what you have with your off-road vehicle, so I would pick something in between, like my Razor XP1000.
Yeah.
And that's what I go off-roading in, and then my truck is my daily driver.
The daily, the hauler.
Just put some wheels and tires on it so it looks cool, and then just drive it. And so,
Eric took the massive shortcut to still have as cool looking of a vehicle as mine.
on the outside.
On the outside. So there you go, everyone. What vehicle should you buy? You got to make your own choice. What are you going to do with it? How much do you want to spend? You know, you've seen all of the possibilities, and there's even more that we haven't shown. Make your own decision. Ultimately, as cool as all of these machines are, if you don't ride the thing you bought, or if you just mall crawl one of those big suckers over there, it's not as cool. So our main message is always, please go out and just ride. Whatever the thing is, you know, maybe you're even just going on a hike, I don't know. But go out and ride, and of course, even though the series is over, Eric, join us for the next episode of Trail Talk. We'll see you guys next week. Peace.